Alright guys, Tom here and welcome to a new video, and today I'm doing a WWE Monday Night Raw review video for the 30th of September 2013 episode of WWE Monday Night Raw. And WWE Monday Night Raw last night, guys, came from the Biloxi, Mississippi, in Mississippi Coast Coliseum, of course, in Mississippi. And personally, I thought the show was pretty poor. It wasn't one of the best shows we've seen in the last few months. Honestly, I thought it was one of the worst shows we've seen since SummerSlam. I don't think it was a very good show. I don't think it was a very good coming out show for the Battleground pay-per-view. Honestly, if you didn't watch the first 2 hours of the show and you just watched maybe like the last segment, maybe you wouldn't have missed hardly anything. You would have still got everything going into the Battleground pay-per-view. You wouldn't have missed anything relevant whatsoever, and you would still have been able to buy the pay-per-view and understand everything that was happening on the pay-per-view, because the show last night was full of squash matches. It was full of matches which really did not mean anything whatsoever. It was literally to kill time. Throughout the show, there was only about 3 decent segments between the Rhodes family, the CM Punk feud and Ryback, and also the Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan feud. Apart from that, which was probably accumulated to around 20 minutes of actually showtime, the other 2 hours and 40 minutes were full of crap and nothing that would really have made you... If somebody gave you what was going to be happening on that Monday Night Raw and was like, this is what's going to happen on tonight's Monday Night Raw, honestly, I would have actually missed Monday Night Raw, because it was just nothing entertaining, nothing really decent, worthy of being watched. It was honestly full of bull crap. But I'm going to do a review of Monday Night Raw tonight, guys. I might just cut it short because honestly, there isn't really anything to talk about. It was just full of wasting time with like 3 decent segments. So we started off with CM Punk coming out for Monday Night Raw for the 30th of September in Mississippi, of course, like I've already said. And personally, I was kind of surprised CM Punk did in fact start Monday Night Raw, but it all came to light in the next 10 minutes as we actually got a match set up between him and E Langston. Now, why I was surprised that CM Punk came out was because he's not really in the main event at the moment. He's kind of in the mid-card role. I think personally he's in that mid-card role because WWE don't want to make him the next Cena, where he's always getting these title shots after title shots. They don't want to make CM Punk boring fast. I mean, he's been in the spotlight for a good 2 years now, and if he's going to get another title shot so quickly, he's just going to get slightly boring. So they decided to make CM Punk start the show tonight, which I thought was a kind of a clever idea. I don't think CM Punk's done that for a while now. It's just making it a little bit fresh for the start of Monday Night Raw, because we've been getting Triple H coming out to every single start of Monday Night Raw recently. And if I was going to pick somebody who would have started Monday Night Raw last night, guys, I don't think CM Punk would have been at the top of my list. I thought it was quite strange that they did have CM Punk come out, but it made the show start really, really fresh, and it thought something new was happening. It wasn't the same old boring Triple H promo that we usually get. We started with CM Punk, which I thought was great because we haven't had CM Punk do a lot recently, and I thought it was good that they started off with CM Punk and got something fresh to start tonight's Monday Night Raw, which I thought was really, really good. And then Brad Maddox came out after CM Punk said he wanted a match, and then as soon as Brad Maddox was talking, he still needs to work on that mic work. He's still okay. I kind of like Brad Maddox. I think he's quite good. I think he's funny, but he also needs to work on his mic work quite a lot, really, to be honest. He really didn't get over what he really wanted to say. They either cut that bit short because E Langston came out really, really fast after Brad Maddox started talking. He didn't really get to say anything he really wanted to say because E Langston just came out really, really quickly. And they started a match really, really quickly between E Langston and CM Punk. Now, personally, we haven't actually seen E Langston do anything. I can't remember off the top of my head E Langston doing anything in like the last 2 months before SummerSlam. I think he had a match at SummerSlam and took a pinfall from Dolph Ziggler, and ever since then we haven't really seen E Langston do anything. I can't remember him being on a Monday Night Raw, especially. I think he's appeared on a few main events if you go and watch my results videos from that, but honestly, I don't think E Langston's really done anything. So E Langston stomped down to the ring. It wasn't really a great reaction, to be honest. I mean, a lot of the fans, when a person returns, like Big Show when he did return a few weeks ago, and when Mark Henry returns, you're not really sure how to react for that guy because there's so many heel and face turns nowadays because people want new content. They want somebody to do something new. They don't want the same old stuff. So you have a heel and face turn. Maybe a guy will make a heel and face turn maybe twice a year now. So when E Langston came out, the crowd wasn't really sure how to react. They weren't sure whether to get behind the guy or do something. They weren't sure if E Langston was going to help CM Punk or he was going to do something to Brad Maddox. It was kind of a mixed reaction. We haven't seen Big E Langston recently. The crowd wasn't that really behind him when he came out, because it's like, well, what have you got to do with CM Punk? So this is kind of Big E Langston coming back and making a reintroduction on the roster. I think that if they can build this guy, he could do something really, really well, because they put Big E Langston over really, really well in this match. Even though he took a pinfall to CM Punk and CM Punk defeated Big E Langston in the end, it was a really, really good match. The commentators Cole, Lawler and JBL put over Big E Langston really, really well, which just kind of spring to mind that maybe they're going to push Big E Langston. Maybe they could give him a mid-card title for the next few months, because I can't understand why they put Big E Langston in this match and took a pinfall. They were building him so much that it felt like they didn't want to damage him, because even though he lost, they put him over so much. If they didn't put him over that much, it would have just damaged him. So considering they put him over so much, it does look like they were trying to reserve burying him, because it may look like they are trying to build him within the next few months, which would be great for Big E Langston. He did actually lose to CM Punk, but it was a really, really good match, and CM Punk did put over Big E Langston really, really well. But honestly, if Big E Langston did actually lose here, it did give us a little bit of a taster for the Ryback versus Punk match, which we're going to get at Battlegrounds, which is also great because it builds the anticipation to see whether CM Punk's going to defeat Ryback, because CM Punk got some decent momentum off this match, but later on in the show, he also got a little bit of momentum as well. So it's interesting whether Ryback or CM Punk is going to actually win at the Battleground pay-per-view. So we did get CM Punk versus Big E Langston. I'll probably rate that match. If I was going to rate that match, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. I liked how they did build up Big E Langston. That's all I can say about that match. I did like how they did build up Big E Langston, and they built a little bit of anticipation for the Ryback and CM Punk match, which will take place at Battleground, of course. The next match we had was Kofi Kingston Fandango. It was another squash match. We've seen these guys go to head-to-head. I think that 2 weeks ago, they had a couple of matches on Main Event and Monday Night Raw, I believe it was. It was either Main Event and Friday Night SmackDown. Another squash match. Kofi did actually win with a Trouble in Paradise, which was out of nowhere. It was a bit of a botch, but yet again, Fandango is going to get turning into a bit of a jobber. I mean, if Fandango did pick up the Intercontinental title at Payback, I wonder where he'd be now, but honestly, he's turning into a bit of a jobber and really hasn't got anything going from it at the moment. I really hope they do start doing something with Fandango, because of course he's a great talent, we know this. Well, Kofi Kingston and Fandango are great talents, and if they can actually think of something to do with these guys, they could go places. I can really see Fandango as a world title contender within the next few years, really. And if they can actually start using Fandango, put him in a decent feud instead of just making him have an okay pay-per-view match and then just jobbing straight away after that match, instead of putting him in these pointless matches which don't really do anything for either him or his opponent, then I really think they could go places with Fandango and Kofi Kingston. On the other hand, they brought him back and he really isn't doing anything. He hasn't really had some good feuds. He took a pinfall to Curtis Axel on the Night of Champions pay-per-view. That felt a little bit rushed, the build towards that Intercontinental title. I don't know whether his return was delayed or anything, but they didn't do anything with that. I thought they could have done a little bit more, considering he was on the poster. They didn't really go anything with Kofi Kingston and the Curtis Axel feud. So ever since Kofi came back, he really hasn't done anything either. And I really think these guys, both of them, can do something if they're built well into a feud. So I really hope that these guys are used within the next few months, the close 2013, in a decent feud, because these guys are probably one of the best talents WWE has. That's a personal opinion, don't hate on that. And honestly, they could do stuff with these guys. But yet again, they're being used in another pointless match, which really doesn't help them in either way. So we had the debut of Los Matadores, which was sadly a face turn for Primo and Efco, who were in fact be called Diego and Fernando. You could go and see my video earlier in the last few months where I did talk about who it was. It was Primo and Efco, but they were called some other guys. They did debut with a bull guy, so they did their entrance, and then somebody who looked like Hornswoggle, which wasn't actually Hornswoggle, it wasn't his same build, etc., did come out to their entrance, and honestly, they looked absolutely great. They had a little bit of ring rust, but the new moves they've been working on looks absolutely fantastic. These guys really could go places. Honestly, I was kind of a bit annoyed when I first realized that they were going to be faces, because as soon as I saw 3MB in the ring and I saw Los Matadores making their entrance, I honestly thought face turn. they could go down the comedy route at, and yes, in fact they did. Sorry, if I'm going to review the Kofi and Fandango match, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. But for the Los Matadores versus 3MB, I thought this match was an 8 out of 10. I really, really liked it. Now, WWE always go down the route of making a new team or a new guy debut the Monday Night Raw before the pay-per-view. I wasn't expecting Los Matadores to make an in-ring debut last night on Monday Night Raw, and yes, they made an in-ring debut. I honestly thought the best option would for them to make a promo and then make a debut on next week's Monday Night Raw, because they're just going to get forgotten, because this pay-per-view on Sunday, it's going to be a big pay-per-view. It's not going to be the biggest, but it's going to be a big pay-per-view. Every pay-per-view is a big show. But Los Matadores debuting tonight rather than next week, they're just going to get overshadowed. They're going to get flushed down the toilet a little bit. There's going to be Randy Orton, the Daniel Bryan feud, the CM Punks, the guys like that, Del Rio, RVD. They're all going to pile on top of these Los Matadores guys, and they're slowly going to get forgotten. It happened to the Wyatt family. They couldn't think of any ideas for them because they debuted too early. They debuted just before Money in the Bank, I think it was, and they got forgotten very, very quickly, and I think it could happen to Los Matadores. Now, they didn't really get a great reaction. It is obviously Primo and Epico, but they put on a decent match. I honestly think making them face is great, because I was a bit optimistic, because you had every person who becomes a face turns into a bit of a comedy act. You've got Tensai and you've got Brodus Clay, who are a comedy act. And you've got the Usos, on the other hand, who, of course, are faces. They haven't really got a gimmick. And then you've got the Primetime Players, haven't got a gimmick. So you've got a bit of leeway. You've got a bit of a gap in the face tag team division where you don't really have a gimmick. You don't have a good gimmick. You don't have something that the fans can get behind. And these guys are pretty good. They've got a good gimmick, and it's something that we can get behind. It's something the fans can have fun with. And you'll see like that they've turned them face. I mean, we've got too many heels in the WWE. You've got the Wyatt family, the tag team champions, of course, the Shield. You've got the Real Americans. You've got 3MB. I'm sure there's some other guys that I missed off the list, but honestly, I think it was a good option to make the face. I think there's a gap in the market for a good face gimmick in the tag team division, and we don't have some good gimmicks in the face division of the tag team division, and I think it's something the fans can get behind, and I'm looking forward to what they've got in store for Los Matadores. I think they're really guys who are just going to be filling the tag roster. I can't see them going for any tag team titles, especially within the next 6 months. I honestly don't see them doing anything with them for the next 6 months. They're just there really to... They've started stacking up the tag team division quite well recently, and honestly, these are just guys that are going to fill the roster for the tag team division. I can't see them going for the tag team titles anytime soon. You got the Primetime Players, the Usos, who are really in with a shot, and these guys, they're really just there for the fans to get behind. Honestly, they're reacting with the crowd pretty well, and it's just something so the fans can get behind and something like that. They're not really a serious tag team, sadly, for the Usos, who are great talents. I just can't see them doing anything within the next few months. So for that match, I'll probably give it a 7 out of 10. I did like how they made an in-ring debut before a pay-per-view where they're going to get forgotten really, really quickly. But I do actually kind of like the fact that they've made them face, even though I was a bit pessimistic about how they might do that before they actually made the debut. So you now have an announcement that Cody Rhodes and Dusty Rhodes will go head-to-head against the Shield, not for the tag team titles, I don't believe, for their jobs. Now, Cody Rhodes is going to get rehired, and Goldust is going to get hired if they do actually defeat Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins at the Battleground pay-per-view. This promo was kind of boring. It was kind of lame. It was typical Triple H doing what he's been doing for the last few weeks, making boring promos. I mean, it's going to get really, really old really, really quickly. But at the end of it, we did get the announcement that the Shield, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins will take on Cody Rhodes and Goldust. And I'm actually pretty excited about this match, because the stipulation basically is, if Cody Rhodes and Goldust do actually win, Dusty Rhodes will be at the side of the ring. They will get hired by the WWE, but if they lose, they will never get their jobs back. The tag team titles aren't on the line, but can the Shield take a pinfall at a pay-per-view? I don't know. It's going to leave it really open. I actually can't predict this match, because I'm not really sure if the Shield are ready to take a pinfall. I mean, they're getting this huge main event push, and if they're going to lose to Cody Rhodes, it's going to make them look quite weak. But honestly, at this moment in time, I personally can't see Cody Rhodes and Goldust winning this match. I definitely can't see the Shield defeating Cody Rhodes and never getting his job back, it does kind of make it slightly unpredictable. I am quite looking forward to this match. The promo itself wasn't great. It ended in Roman Reigns hitting a spear on Goldust, but honestly, I'm quite looking forward to this match. It could be very unpredictable, but this was one of the 3 promos they did of the night, which was kind of it did mean quite a lot. And honestly, I like the announcement of the match. I mean, the Shield have kind of the Usos have kind of been forgotten. I mean, they're the #1 contenders, but what happened to them? But I wish they'd have built this match a little bit before this week's Monday Night Raw, because honestly, they've only had 3 weeks to do this, but I honestly believe that if they'd started building this a few weeks ago, they really could have done a really good thing with this match. I really think it could have been something, because honestly, coming into the pay-per-view, it's still unpredictable, but I honestly think with a little bit more build, we could have had some really good hype for this match, and honestly, one of the biggest matches I'd have been looking forward to out of the next few pay-per-views, really. So I think if they could have put a little bit more build into this match, I thought it would have been really good. I'm happy we've got this match. I'm happy Cody Rhodes is back. It's good, and hopefully he can put on a good match, and hopefully he can get his job back, because I'm a bit of a Cody Rhodes mark, and that'll be great, of course. For that segment, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was pretty boring from Triple H, but I like the announcement, and it should be a really good match. So for R-Truth versus Curtis Axel, R-Truth did in fact defeat Curtis Axel after CM Punk's music did in fact come on, and you know, I never agreed with them doing things like this where somebody's music comes on, they get distracted, and then either get attacked from behind or something like that. But Curtis Axel didn't get distracted. He got defeated, of course. They always do this stupid thing to build matches, but it wasn't the last of CM Punk we saw of Monday Night Raw. Honestly, the R-Truth versus Curtis Axel match was yet again another just a filler match, something that doesn't really mean anything, something that honestly, just a bit of a waste of time. I like R-Truth. I think he's a pretty good in-ring worker, but honestly, he's not ready for a title. I mean, I wish they'd do something with Curtis Axel. It just looks like he's the forgotten man nowadays. He doesn't really have anything going for him. He doesn't really have anything. It just looks like they put him in these pointless matches. I mean, if you would just look at the roster, and I was trying to point out all the champions, I wouldn't be able to remember that Curtis Axel was the champion, because honestly, for the last 2 pay-per-views, he hasn't really done anything for his Intercontinental title. I don't think he was on the SummerSlam pay-per-view. If I'm going to look at the SummerSlam cards, I honestly can't remember him being on that card, because he was on the Night of Champions pay-per-view, but there wasn't any build going into that match. No. Curtis Axel was not on the SummerSlam 2013 pay-per-view. He was on the Night of Champions pay-per-view, but obviously he didn't have any build, and then he had a match against The Miz at Money in the Bank, which yet again wasn't a very good match. So honestly, Curtis Axel isn't doing that great. He's never been put in these decent matches. He's not been really given a good chance to show off that he is the Continental Champion. He's a good in-ring worker. He's just put up against these jobbers, and he's kind of turning into a better jobber as well. I mean, the new addition of the new Paul Heyman guy, Ryback, he's going to get even more forgotten. So I think for the best thing they could do is for Curtis Axel to drop that title and give it to somebody who's deserving of that title, who they can actually do something with, like a Kofi Kingston, a good face who gets a good reaction, who they can actually do something with. And then you've got Curtis Axel who will be chasing that title, where they could build a good feud out of that, where they can actually do something with Curtis Axel, because no face has really touched Curtis Axel since he's become the Intercontinental Champion. They've not really had a face that stepped forward and had a good, well-built match against Curtis Axel where the fans can get behind it. They really haven't done anything. So hopefully a face can defeat Curtis Axel in the next few months and do actually get a feud for Curtis Axel. So for that match, I give it a 6 out of 10. Another squash match. And it's just pointless for Curtis Axel. I really feel sorry for him. Brie Bella versus Alicia Fox. Brie Bella has now got a Divas title shot against, yes, WWE Divas champion AJ Lee. Yes! But honestly, they've built this match really well. Well, they've built the Total Divas versus AJ Lee match really well. I thought Natalya was in for a shot, but they've chosen to go with Brie Bella. I don't know, considering Brie Bella's getting this kind of push with the main event with Daniel Bryan and stuff like that, and now Brie Bella's got a Divas title shot, it does kind of bring the it makes the Total Divas show look a little bit more relevant. It brings it more into the main event and more important than what it would have been if it wasn't Brie Bella and her getting a little bit of a main event push and going into the Divas title match. By the main event push, I mean how she was in the ending segment with Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. It makes the Total Divas show a little bit more relevant and meaningful. So we've got Brie Bella taking on Alicia Fox on tonight's Monday Night Raw, but she will have a match against the Divas champion AJ Lee. Now, honestly, this feud has been built really, really well between the Total Divas and AJ Lee. And sadly, I said it on my Monday Night Raw preview show, if they drop the ball now, it'd be a big shame, and they did. They announced the match before Brie Bella came out to have a match against Alicia Fox. They didn't have any build for AJ Lee to say, I want to face blah blah blah, or somebody saying, I want to face AJ Lee. They just announced it. I think they dropped the ball there. They could have had a much bigger announcement for who would be facing the Divas champion AJ Lee, because we had so much build between the Divas champion AJ Lee. He had a few great promos, and between the Total Divas we had a few great matches, and it's been good build. But then for them to announce a match between Brie Bella and AJ Lee by Michael Cole out of nowhere, it just makes the match look a little bit soft, a little bit meaningless, a little bit who gives a fuck. I was really, really disappointed, but we'll see how that match goes. The match between Alicia Fox and Brie Bella was pretty boring. Brie Bella still looks like she's improving. She still looks pretty good. But at the end of the day, it was just another boring match to fill a little bit of time. The World Heavyweight Champion Alberto Del Rio defeated Zack Ryder in an okay match. I like Del Rio's work. I'm a bit of a mark for Del Rio as well. He gets a little bit of hate for being the World Heavyweight Champion, but I really, really like Alberto Del Rio. I think he's got some good in-ring work, and honestly, he gets a little bit of stick considering he's been the World Heavyweight Champion for such a long time. But honestly, I actually quite like the Alberto Del Rio. I do think they dropped the ball here, where they could have built a hardcore match between Alberto Del Rio and Rob Van Dam. I mean, all the way through the show, the second world title, the challenger Rob Van Dam and Del Rio never went face to face. They never went into physical contact with each other on the last show before the actual pay-per-view, which what I thought was kind of strange. They did it last week with Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. They never actually had a segment with each other. Now, if we're wanting to get behind this match, it's the second biggest world title of the WWE, and we're wanting to buy this pay-per-view. Now, this is supposedly the second biggest match we're supposed to get behind to buy the pay-per-view. Now, if you're not going to build it on the last Monday Night Raw before the Battleground pay-per-view, there was literally no build for it on tonight's Monday Night Raw. There was no finale, there was nothing like that. We now had no physical contact between Del Rio and Rob Van Dam. How are we supposed to get behind this match? Now, I said in my Raw preview that we'll probably have a chair shot to Del Rio, something like that, where Rob Van Dam gains a little bit of momentum, so when he does actually lose, where I predict he loses at Battleground, he doesn't lose a lot of power, he doesn't lose a lot of relevance when he actually does lose. And it also kind of exposes the fact that it's a hardcore match to the fans that don't actually watch SmackDown. But they dropped the ball here and really didn't do anything for the world title on the last Monday Night Raw before the Battleground pay-per-view. So I'd give that a 5 out of 10. Pretty disappointed for that. Now, the next bit was Paul Heyman proposing to Ryback to be the new Paul Heyman guy. After that, CM Punk came out and pretended to trip over to reel Paul Heyman into Curtis Axel and Ryback in. Then he hit Paul Heyman with a kendo stick. He hit Ryback with a kendo stick, and then GTS Curtis Axel on the head. So CM Punk coming out strong of this match, of this segment. So it is likely that CM Punk will actually lose when it actually means something at the pay-per-view, because he's gained a little bit of momentum here. Then it's when he's going to lose to the new Paul Heyman guy Ryback on the Battleground pay-per-view. Ryback looks strong because he's defeated somebody who has some decent momentum, because CM Punk had a great momentum when he started Monday Night Raw. They probably actually made CM Punk come out of Monday Night Raw to start Monday Night Raw to get a little bit more of a crowd reaction, as you will. And then at the Battleground pay-per-view, Ryback defeats somebody who gets a great pop, who started Monday Night Raw, this big main eventer who has a lot of momentum going into the Battleground pay-per-view, because he beat up Ryback, Paul Heyman and Curtis Axel the Monday Night Raw before. He has some huge momentum, so Ryback looks good when he defeats CM Punk at the Battleground pay-per-view. That's why CM Punk stood tall above Curtis Axel after GTSing him. After this segment, I thought it was pretty good. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. It was another legendary segment from that man, Paul Heyman. And honestly, I'm actually quite looking forward to this match. It's kind of unpredictable because I don't know if CM Punk deserves having another pinfall on him. I'm not sure if he deserves another loss, considering he lost to Brock Lesnar, he lost to Paul Heyman. I'm not really sure if CM Punk deserves to have another loss. So it just kind of leave it a little bit open-ended. We'll have to wait for Battleground to see that. So I actually think they were quite clever here, not making us realise, well, I don't think anybody really deserves to win. It's kind of making it a little bit unpredictable. So for the second to last match, we had the Usos and Dolph Ziggler versus the tag team champions, The Shield. This match didn't really mean anything either, so we're just going to skip over this match. Another squash match. I'm sick of seeing The Shield versus the Usos. I wish another tag team would step forward, like maybe Los Matadores, I don't know. But honestly, The Shield versus the Usos is a bit boring. And Dolph Ziggler versus Dean Ambrose, we've seen it before. They could have built it a little bit more, but honestly, we've seen these guys face off. It was a bit of a lame match. And honestly, the call, if you think about it like this way, the actual main event of Monday Night Raw tonight was Santino Marella defeating Antonio Cesaro. Yes, Antonio Cesaro, who's possibly one of the best talents you have on the WWE roster, is defeated by Santino Marella. Now, this match was shit. It was terrible. Santino Marella defeated probably the best talent you have. I mean, they built the Real Americans so well in the Money in the Bank match. They looked so good, they looked so hot, they looked awesome. They just have some great in-ring ability, Jack Swagger and Antonio Cesaro. And this doofus Santino Marella is going to defeat Cesaro. I mean, they didn't even make Cesaro look strong in this match. They didn't even make him look good. But Santino Marella, he did win by a small package, which was botched, so Cesaro didn't actually fully lose. He didn't lose a lot of momentum. He didn't look that weak, but he still lost to Santino Marella. So for that match, 5 out of 10. Really, really disappointed that the former United States champion, Santino Marella, yes, did defeat a former United States champion, Antonio Cesaro. What the hell are they doing? Anyway, the last segment. Daniel Bryan got RKO'd through the announce table by Randy Orton. It was actually a pretty good segment. It was kind of cut short. There was some good chemistry between them on the mic, with Jerry Lawler in the ring, kind of being the interviewer, the middleman between Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. And honestly, I'm excited for this match. I don't think they've shoved it down our throats. I don't think they've gone over the top between the last 3 weeks. I think if you were going to compare it to the SummerSlam, after SummerSlam to Night of Champions and the Night of Champions of Battleground pay-per-view, it's really been toned down the build. And I think that's really good because it's not being shoved down our throats. And last week, they didn't have a face-off. They didn't make any physical contact. And this week, they did. Daniel Bryan got put through an announce table, but it's not being shoved down our throats. It's not something that we're going to be like, oh. It's not being shoved down our throats. And I think that's clever because we're not going to get bored by this. Because on Night of Champions, when these two guys came out, I was like, I wasn't that excited because we'd seen them build this match so much that we'd seen them do everything. But honestly, they haven't built it that well. They've still built it, but it's not really been that big. So when they actually have this match at the Battleground pay-per-view, where we're bound to get a new WWE champion, of course. It's not being shoved down our throats. We're actually excited for it because we're not like, oh, it's boring, Orton and Daniel Bryan. We can actually watch it and enjoy it because it's not being shoved down our throats. So I was actually happy with how they did this, how they've kept it on the down low through the last 3 weeks. And honestly, I think Randy Orton RKO'ing Daniel Bryan through the table was great. You had a little bit of a main event push for Brie Bella as well. She can't act for shit, actually, by the way. But actually, Randy Orton looked like he picked up an injury whilst RKO'ing Daniel Bryan through the announce table. The camera work was absolutely awful when they did this, by the way. But Daniel Bryan getting RKO'd by Randy Orton through the announce table, does that mean that Randy Orton is actually going to lose at the Battleground pay-per-view? I love how we got the new sadistic Randy Orton returning back. Hopefully he looks like the sadistic Randy Orton that we're used to seeing at the Battleground pay-per-view. Maybe we'll have the sadistic Randy Orton at the Battleground pay-per-view, and then Daniel Bryan gets a random victory. Maybe something like a small package, something like that, where Randy Orton looks great. He looks like the cynical Randy Orton, sadistic Randy Orton that we're used to seeing, we love, we used to hate and love. And then Daniel Bryan still managed to get the victory where both guys look great in that match. I'm not sure. I just think it leaves it open-ended, and I love how they didn't shove it down our throats. But honestly, this Monday Night Raw was pretty poor. There was a lot of squash matches. Hopefully you have enjoyed this Monday Night Raw review, guys. Sorry. 7 out of 10 for this. I think I gave a 6 out of 10 last week, but 7 out of 10, I thought it was okay. I'm looking forward to Battlegrounds. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Maybe it was being a bit nice on the 7 out of 10. Maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Come on. We've got to be optimistic about the Battleground pay-per-view. Subscribe to my Friday Night SmackDown review. Thanks for watching. Take care. 7 out of 10 for Monday Night Raw tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Spite your hair.